Hello and welcome to the Tonya G show. I feel like my guest doesn't need an introduction because he's been here quite a few times. He's sort of like my co-host, if you will, if guests counsel on me or if I'm going to be out of town. But he's an author, counselor, and therapist for over 41 years. Mr. Robert Ray, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, I'm excited to be here again.
Yes,
we appreciate. A lot to share.
Yeah, I'm ready to hear it too. I'm ready to hear your perspective. So we're going to talk a little bit about everything, Jackson politics, national politics, things that you want to discuss. And we will start with Breonna Taylor. One of the three officers was indicted, but they were not charged in her death. Were you at all surprised by this?
No, not at all. Because, see, what it is, the white people write these laws. And they write all of these laws so that if they get into trouble, they can look at these laws and they can figure out a way to maneuver out of it. And that's exactly what was done in this case. Because I was talking to some neighbors of mine, and they were saying, well, why would they charge the officer with shooting into the white people's apartment and not charge any of them for killing?
For the death of her.
For the death
right.
of that. I say, well, that's what they do. I say, you have to realize that the laws was written for white people. They were not written for black people. And I say the only way that you're going to get any justice out of the courts and out of the law is that we have to get in there and write those laws and reverse all of those laws that they've written. And it's the same way with the law down here. When I told them, the inmates, I worked in the prison for 11 years, I say, y'all should start going to court. Don't just take a plea bargain. Mm-hmm. And they started doing that. People started going to court and started doing that. Right away, the whites, supremacists, they run up in there, and the black legislators let them do that and come up with that law that if you go to court and you lose your case, you get life without parole. That shouldn't even be
in the law.
In the law.
Right.
See, so that scare all of the black men, say, well, you could be a black man out of town, and they say, charge you with armed robbery. You up in Chicago. They'll arrest you down here. And if one person said they saw you do the crime and you go to court and you lose, you go into prison for life, and you wasn't even in the estate when this committed. See, those are the kind of laws that's written by white people to victimize the black race.
Well, so how do we get in there to rewrite the laws or to challenge the laws? I mean, we have attorneys, we have legislators and people of that nature. So what can we do to change the narrative?
The black legislators up there should have never let them write that law. They should have been jumping up and down. They should say, hey, we're not doing anything else until this law is eliminated. But they won't do it. They'll sit back there and they'll go along with what the whites is doing, and they won't even get in there and fight for the black race. And see, and this is what happens. As long as the whites know that they're not going to get in there and fight for their own race,
they're just going to keep doing
what they just do what they want
to do.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. So police officers are not paid, a very high salary. As a matter of fact, I was reading an article on the Jackson Free Press here, and it's titled, "Recruits to the Jackson Police Department will now earn $30,000, up 15% in the 2021 financial year budget from the previous pay of $26,000. Do you feel that cops should be paid more and that would help with some of the way we are victimized? Do you think that correlates in any way?
Sure does. You shouldn't be out there risking your life for $26,000 a year. I mean, it's the police in New York and other cities, they make $70,000, $80,000 a year. Just officers do. And you're down here doing the same job that they do, and you're getting paid $26,000. The people that cut grass make more money than that.
So
they should make more money, but they should be trained better also.
Right.
They should be trained like I want to train them with my racism prevention and systemic racism prevention process to train them to become professional officers. They're not professional now.
Right.
They're just Anybody that they can grab, they can go in there and pass the little exams, and they give them a badge and a gun and send them out there.
Right.
See, they don't have any expertise in talking to the public in different type of races, and that's why it's so much conflict here in Mississippi.
I would agree with that, Mr. Ray. Also, in that same article, there was talks about, there's a councilman here by the name of Kenneth Stokes, and he represents Ward 3, and he proposed an amendment for contracts with other jurisdictions to offer spaces for misdemeanors, saying it will help make the city safer. What are your thoughts on creating or renting jail spaces for misdemeanor crimes?
No, that shouldn't even be a question.
Yes, I'm back with my guest, Mr. Robert Ray, and we were talking about renting jail space for misdemeanor crimes. You were saying
that just sets the city up for corruption. That's all it does, because you're going to have too many people. You're going to have people trying to control this down here, and they're going to be controlling the money. And it's just a setup for corruption. And it's not going to do any good. A misdemeanor, I think pretty soon they're not going to even arrest people for misdemeanors. They're talking about it in Marines is just giving them a ticket, because
right.
it fills it up and they can't post bond. Now you got a person that could be out working for his family. He's sitting down there because he can't come up with $500 bond.
I mean, it absolutely makes no sense whatsoever. So, Mr. Ray, let's talk about the Democratic Party here. So you were saying, we were talking earlier, and you were saying that you are leaving the Democratic Party. Why is that?
I'm just not comfortable with it anymore. I mean, I've been thinking about it a long time, because I've been looking back, and I'm a one that look at history and see what happened then, and which I've got a chance to see a lot of history and the political parties. And the Republican Party has always been the party to advocate rights for the black people. They may not do it now as much as they did, but in the beginning, which was Abraham Lincoln, he was Republican. He freed the slaves in the Republican Party. And then all of the Republican people came down, and every time a law came up that was going to help the blacks, the Republicans voted for it. Democrats voted it down just about every time. And so I was looking at it and I said, well, who else was a Republican? Found out that Martin Luther King was a Republican. So, and then I looked at the Dred Scott decision, and a lot of kids should have learned that in school, which they probably didn't.
Right.
But it was saying that they wanted to banish slavery, and the Supreme Court had it. And 7 Democrats on the Supreme Court voted against it, banning that. So I'm thinking, where's all this loyalty that we should have to the Democratic Party when they've been voting against us, getting our civil rights?
Right.
The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment.
Right.
Said the Democrats voted against all of that. One was that due process of law, the 14th Amendment, and then the 15th Amendment, that everybody should have a right to vote. Democrats voted that down.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I'm thinking that where have they done anything? And then the first time the Democrats got in there and done something, what did they do? They destroyed the black family unit. They took the head of the household out. We're going to send y'all welfare, the women welfare, to take care of the kids and everything, but the man cannot live in the house.
Yes.
When that happened, I asked,
and we still have not recovered as a
it has recovered,
yes.
and we will not recover
Yes.
as long as that is in place. And so I just say, look, the Democrats, they just haven't shown me anything. Even when President Obama was in there, he didn't do anything for black people the whole time. The only thing that he did that was good was that Obamacare. That meant that a lot of black people who have the most illness and sickness in a way could go to the doctor and get some care.
Well, so what do you say to black people who say that it wasn't President Obama's job to do anything for black people? It
is his job to do stuff for black people. He's the president of the United States. He know what condition that our race of people is in.
Doesn't he know?
He was in there for 8 years. All of those 8 years, he should have woke up every day thinking about how can I do something better for the black race in America, because they've been victimized ever since slavery. But he didn't do that. He was doing stuff for other people, the immigration stuff, all of this kind of stuff. Transgender,
Yes,
all
sir.
this kind of stuff.
Yes, sir.
And wasn't doing anything for the common black people who work hard and still can't get ahead.
Go ahead, Mr. Ray.
So he didn't really do all of the things that he could have done. And just at the end, then he comes up with the Obamacare, which was good.
Right.
But it was he could have did so much more for the black race than he did.
I agree. I want to kind of still stay on that same topic and talk about creating wealth while black. So I was reading an article on the Jackson Free Press, and I'm probably going to have to cut back after this break. But they interviewed Shante Crockett, who is the executive director of the Center for Social Entrepreneurship, a nonprofit organization that adopted an area in West Jackson. And she has clearly defined options about what has led to poverty inside Jackson's black communities. And I would guess all over. She's quoted as saying, "The problem in our neighborhood is that unemployment is high, education is low, and residents and infrastructure continuously age. Business development has suffered due to a low percentage of skilled and certified workforce," end quote. Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah, she's probably got some good, genuine, true statements in there. But she failed to realize that black people are not rational enough to pull that off. See, they don't have the wherewithal, the rationale to do these
thought,
things.
Mr. Ray. Don't forget to watch us streaming live on YouTube at Viral Stream TV, powered by the KPGagency.com. I help people with life insurance. We need to get our policies in order. We'll be right back. It's Mr. Robert J. Ray, and we were talking about creating black wealth. You were saying that she had some great points, but...
Yeah, but black people don't have the rationale. That's why they need to read the Black and White Race Rationale. They will see why white people can get in there and do these things. This is white people, yeah, but black people can't do it because they not conditioned to do it. They don't have the mental capacity to do it. Even the ones that have graduated from college have a hard time trying to run a business. And then if she's talking about other people that don't have a college education, don't have any business experience, they don't have a clue as to how to do any of that stuff she's talking, because she's talking over their head. See, so you got to get individuals to understand that first you got to become rational in doing it. And that would be good if they want to go into business, they should go to business school first. That'll give them a foundation of how to do it. But most of it is self. You've got to be where you're supposed to be at, where you're supposed to be, when you say you're going to be there, on time.
I think part of the problem too in creating black wealth is that we have outsourced cheap labor to other countries. So I was looking at a documentary on HBO, and it's from 2009, and it tracks how the garment industry was once the largest employer in the U.S. It helped build the middle class through organizing strong unions. Today, 95% of all garments sold in the U.S. are made offshore, mostly in sweatshops in China, Vietnam, and Bangladesh. So if there are no job opportunities for us, we cannot create the black wealth. Would you not agree with that?
That's genuinely true, because I remember just back in the 90s that they had garment factories up in little cities. Indeed. Making gloves and things
yes.
like that.
Yes.
And that gave people a job. People could buy them a car and pay their rent and everything. And then when they eliminate these jobs, then that eliminate the workforce for black people, because they don't have college education. They don't have businesses that they can open. They have to depend on some industry.
Right. Well, so why do you think legislators are not pushing for that? Why are we not talking about there not being jobs here, and why are we not fighting for more factories or for more things to be made in the U.S. to give people jobs?
Because they're saying that they can do it cheaper. It's always about the money thing. Okay, if we set up a business over here, the government gonna say, well, you got to pay them a certain amount of money. Well, I can take my business down in Mexico or over some of these other countries, and I don't have to pay them but $3 an hour to do the same thing that the blacks would be doing here for $10, $11 an hour. So it's a no-brainer. But but like you say, it's the government that's doing this to black people,
Right.
and they started talking about vote for
Right.
me.
Right.
Say vote for me.
Right, Mr.
And,
Ray.
and I'm not
Right.
gonna do it. I'm tired of it.
Well, so what are your thoughts on immigration?
Immigration, there's already too many Hispanics over here as it is. I was taking a young lady down to Hattiesburg Friday. She worked at the chicken plant in Forest, and she also worked at the chicken plant down in Hattiesburg. Hen something down there, but she's good at it. You know, she know how to do it. And she said that she can be working with these Mexicans. All of them, they're packed together, and they know how to do this thing, and they're making the most money on these jobs. And it'll be a whole gaggle of them, and they make this high $15, $17 an hour,
Right.
and they all live in the same house.
Right.
And so they got all of this money that they make from the chicken plant and take it back to the house where they conjugate together and do everything. And then I guess they send a lot back down to Mexico,
Exactly.
for the thing. But they are making all of the money in the chicken plants. And the blacks can't even work there.
Exactly. When you have such an influx, then that takes away from the black people that need jobs. We already don't have many jobs to choose from. As you said, if you don't have your own business, or if they're state workers, then you may not want to do that. There's only a limited pool of work for us to do.
And they can't speak English. She say she talked to them, and she say only Mexican stuff she knows when she used to watch Speedy Gonzalez on TV. Underlay. And they laugh at that, see, but yeah, it's just crazy.
Hold that thought, Mr. Ray. Don't forget, we are live streaming on YouTube at Viral Stream TV. Share the live stream link with your family and friends outside of the Jackson Metro. Don't forget to subscribe to our show, Viral Stream TV. We are live streaming every Sunday at 2 p.m. Also, if you need your final expenses taken care of, you can contact the KPG agency. We take care of all final expense needs. Give us a call, 601-500-2751, or visit the website at www.kpgagency.com. We'll be right back after this brief commercial break. So we're back live with Mr. Ray. We were just talking about a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Mr. Ray, I want to get your thoughts on initiative measure number 65. Do you think that marijuana should be legalized?
Yes, it should be legalized because, see, most black people drink alcohol, and that's one of the most devastating things to the black race is alcohol. I said in my books that black people don't have any reason to be drinking alcohol, the state that they're in. It messes up their health, it messes up their mind, and they just don't have. But you remember back in the 70s, the marijuana got so many black and white people together to converse about their predicament.
Woodstock? Go ahead.
Yeah, Woodstock and all of that. And that was the first time that black and whites could get together and talk reasonable about what the state of their life was and how a lot of them became friends and stuff because of the marijuana thing. Mm-hmm. And now they're saying that the marijuana is a drug that's you're going to do this and you're going to go crazy and all that. That's not true.
Well, they say it's a gateway drug to other.
That's not true either. If that was the case, then you'd have people, on heroin and that. You probably don't have 100,000 people on heroin in America.
Right.
And the other drugs too. See, but you got millions of people that smoke marijuana.
I would agree. So if they do legalize it, do you think the people who have been incarcerated for minor infractions for marijuana, should their cases be overturned? Should they be let go? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, they should be let go. I mean, because they didn't do anything but smoke and get addicted. See, and this is all they done. And if they pass the law that marijuana is legal, they should let them out because all they're going to do then is smoke marijuana like they was doing before, not causing any pain to any other the neighbors.
Right.
And that's what they should do. And then not only that, Mississippi is one of the greatest places for growing marijuana. They could grow marijuana and we could have another industry that the blacks could work.
They can make so much money off of it.
I mean,
it'd be revenue for the state. It would just it could solve a lot of financial
Sure,
restraints
good.
that we are in.
But you have all of these white evangelical Christians
Well, isn't that funny?
that think that marijuana is such a bad thing, and here they are doing everything demonic under the sun, and they don't want you, and they want to keep you away from that. See?
Yes, indeed.
And
Yes,
I
indeed.
was one thing I wanted to say was about LeBron James.
Okay.
He was on there talking about Breonna Taylor, and he was so sad, and he just looked so sad, and just he didn't know what to say or do. Now here is a black billionaire, and he afraid of the white supremacists also. He don't know what to do. All he could say is that my queens, my black queens, I respect you and I support you. So if here's a black billionaire, he don't understand what to do, then what do you think the common black man can do?
Well, what can he do? He's not going to risk his billions, his millions, or his billions. So what can he do?
He could do a lot. I mean, he could establish a society of other sports figures like here. That's what I'm saying. That's what the black businesses are. If they got all of the money, but see, the only reason they can't do that is because they couldn't get along. I mean, you can't get two black people to go into business together. I don't care who they are or how much money they got. They can't go in business together because they'll be fighting and conflict and all of that.
Do you really think that that's the issue? Because there are a lot of black celebrities who could pool their money together that could help fight a lot of issues that plague the black communities. So why do you think that we really don't come together in that regard? I think it's part of not wanting to risk losing their money more so than not being able to get along. I just tell me your thoughts on that.
It's the Willie Lynch syndrome. That's all. It's when he come over here and told the white slave owners how to disassemble the blacks. You know, the light skin against the dark skin, and the female against female.
It's very much still true. Go on.
That's what the issue is. And now, if you had two of these black, and you was right on the money when you said they have all this money, they could pool it together, and blacks could do amazing things, but they can't get it together. They wouldn't be able to sit down. One would want to do it this way, one would want to do it that way, and then they would start cussing each other out, and then the next thing you know, it's all down the tubes. Because they don't have the rationale, which I be talking about. People be saying, Ray, what you talking about rationale? I say, unless you become a rational human being, you're going to always be behind the 8-ball. And that's what the blacks are, behind the 8-ball, because of that rationale that they don't have in their mind is what they're supposed to have. That's why white people can go into business together, because they have a rational mind and they know the one thing that they got to do is to take care of the business. But black people, they don't have that rational capacity, so they'll be going at it the way that they think they want to go at it. The other black person will be putting in their 2 cents this way, and the other will be putting, and so you couldn't get 5 millionaire, multimillionaire sports figures to open up a lemonade stand without having a lot of controversy. It's just not going to work.
I hear you, Mr. Ray. We thank you so much for stopping by. I'd like to thank Mr. Ray for chatting with us today. You can contact him on Facebook at Robert J. Ray for Governor of Mississippi, or email him at robertray@comcast.net. We'd like you to subscribe to YouTube.